Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we will be making this beautiful two-piece set for a baby girl of 4 to 5 years old. This is a halter neck top and layered ruffle skirt. It is very easy to make and beginners friendly. So if you're interested in learning it, then let's start. These are the materials that I used. I used the plain fabric for the skirt and the printed fabric for the top. So in total, I used about 1.5 yards of fabric. I used this elastic for the top and this one for the skirt, plus matching thread and sewing machine. So because the material I used for the top is a pattern fabric, I decided to draft it on a plain paper so you'll be able to see it very well, because the chalk I was marking on the fabric was not really showing at all. Okay, so just simply fold your fabric into two. This is for the top. Fold fabric into two. Make sure it measures about 8 to 8.5 inches to cover the chest line plus sewing allowance. Okay, so the length of the top, I used 16 inches for the length. So I'll mark 16 inches for the top length and go ahead to rule out the line now. For the shoulder, I used 3 inches. So mark 3 inches on the shoulder line. For the armhole, I used 5 inches open. So I'll go ahead and square out the 3 inches on the chest line right here. Okay, so connect the chest line to the shoulder line like so. On the chest line, now mark her chest measurement, divide by 4. I used 7 inches for my almost 6-year-old daughter. So connect from the shoulder to the chest line mark like this. You can do any curve you want here. You can use curve, you can use straight marking, whichever way you want to connect it, just go ahead and do it. So I added 1 inch sewing allowance right there on the chest, and on the waistline I measured 7.5 inches and marked. So I'll connect from the waistline to the chest line just like this. So we are basically done with the front part. I'll just go ahead and cut it out. Now to the back part. Fold fabric into two and measure 10 inches from the center back. Unfold, measure 10 inches and mark them. This is 10 inches. Okay, now place the front part armhole side to the 10 inches mark in order to trace the side of the front onto the back pattern. Now this is just the back. The back is not going to be having armhole, so I'll measure the length of the back on the center back as well and then connect to the side. So this is the back part. This is how it is. It is just a square shape show back, open back. Okay, so I'll cut it out now and we are done with the front and the back part. For the slits on the neckline of the front, I simply measured 2 inches downward from the center front and cut it open, and that's it. So I'll just use this pattern to cut out on the fabric before sewing. So this is the front part on the fabric after I cut it out. Here is the slit. I have transferred it to the fabric as well, and this is the back pattern right here. Okay, so let's just head to the sewing machine and stitch. So the first thing I did was to turn the slits on the front part with a 1 inch strip of fabric that was cut on bias form. So I'll simply sew on 1/2 inch all the way. When I get to the end, I pivot and then drag the fabric towards the other side and then stitch all the way to the top. After stitching, go ahead and notch it all around so that by the time you fold, it will not be rumpled and shrinked. So I'll just fold it again and then top stitch. After turning the neckline, I will go ahead and turn the armhole the same way I turned the neckline. Make sure your fabric is cut on bias form and is 1 inches or maximum 1.5 inches. Okay, So after stitching, you notch. Make sure you notch because it helps the fabric to relax better and lay flat. So notch and then fold into 2 again and go ahead and make a top stitch. So the armhole part is done. Go ahead and repeat what you did here to the other side. So for the back piece, I'm going to hem the border and the top part. I'll simply hem the border and the top part to be able to create the elastic channel. Now I'm done hemming the front, the back piece on the top and the lower part. I also hem the lower part of the front piece so both of them will align. Here is the elastic I'm going to be passing on the top part and the upper part of the back piece, and they are measured at 9 inches. This is a 1/4 inch, that is 0.25, I think. 0.25. So I'm just going to use my safety pin and pass the elastic into the channel that I created, making sure that I don't let go of the elastic so it doesn't, slip inside where the hand will not be able to get it out. So I'm done passing the elastic into the casing, and I'll just push it in a bit and then go ahead and stitch it down so it doesn't pull inside. So I'll still stitch the other side and also the down part. After passing elastic on the back piece, just match the front piece on the back piece by the side and go ahead and join them. So I'm done joining the side of the top and both of them have come together. What is left is to go ahead and draft the collar. We are drafting the collar now, and it's as easy as ABC. So simply fold your fabric into 2, fold it again and then fold it again. This is because we are going to be cutting 2 pieces of the collar, one to turn it. Okay, so if you count how many pieces unfold here, it is 8 inches. Now make sure the length is up to 6 inches or 5.5 when it's unfold. So you can see here I have about 5.5 inches, and that's fine. So from the pointy edge, the folded corner, the folded angle, I'll mark 2.5 inches. I'll come down by 2.5 inches from the pointy edge right there, as if we are going to mark for radius of a circle. Okay, so I'll just connect the dots. Now from that point, I'll measure the collar height, which is 2 inches. I used 2 inches. If you want it to be smaller, you can use 1.5. If you want it to be bigger, you can use 3 inches, depending on your preference. Okay, so this is the collar. I'll go ahead and cut out. So after cutting out, like I said before, I have 2 pieces of this. I'll use one to serve as the lining, like to turn it. Okay, so I'll just slit it on the center part and use it and cut on fabric. Here is the collar after cutting it on fabric, as you can see right here. So I'll simply place one on top of each other and go ahead and run a stitch around. So I'll also stitch close the center. Then after stitching, I will make notches round so that by the time I turn to the right side, it's going to lay flat. Okay, so notch, 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 and notch. Stitch close the side, or should I say the center. This is actually going to be the center back. as in this place is going to be at the back. So I'll go ahead and fold this into two. I am trying to get the center of the collar, that is the midpoint. So I'll first measure the neckline of the top to know how many inches I am marking out. So when I took measurement, it measures 2 inches and 2 inches, that is 4 inches. So from this center mark, folded mark here, I will measure 2 inches on one side and mark, then flip it to the other side, measure 2 inches and note that as well. Okay, so 2 inches, 2 inches, that is 4 inches. Then I'll go ahead and stitch close the other side that I did not mark. I'll leave this 4 inches space and close the other space. Okay. So after stitching the collar, go ahead and make notches. Okay, make notches and then turn it to the right side. So I've turned the collar to the right side, as you can see right here. Now I'm going to fold in that remaining part that I did not stitch. I'll fold it in by half of an inch. That is the same inch that I used to stitch close the other side, and then I will iron it down so it stays in place. So I have ironed the collar right here and everything is almost set. So we'll go ahead to fix the collar onto the top. So I'll simply get the top and push it in on one side of the opening. Just push it in, make sure the end of the neckline is matching the end of the opening right here. Push it in and then go ahead and top stitch. So that's it for the making of the top. All I have to do is to attach a press button to the center of the collar. That's it. So it's a 4-step layered skirt, and I have cut the fabrics for the ruffle in 4 places right here. Here is the skirt base, that is where I'm going to be stitching the ruffles, and I have cut it at 36 inches width and 14 inches long. Okay, the width when opened is 36 inches and the length is 14 inches. So the first layer for the ruffle, I have cut it at 36 inches times 3. That's the entire width of the skirt base. You can do less depending on how full you want it. While the rest of the 3 layers, I cut them at 36 inches times 2. That is 72 inches. You can do more or less depending on how full you want the ruffles. And all their length is at 5.5 inches long. So right now I'll head over to the sewing machine and hem the border of all the fabrics I have cut for the ruffle, then go ahead and ruffle them. So I am already folding the border of the fabrics right here. I'm going to do the same thing with all the 4 layers that I have cut out. Then after hemming, I'll use my hands to make small little pleats. You can do this whichever way that is very okay with you. Okay, for me this is how I do mine. So I am done hemming and gathering all the 4 pieces right here. So the next thing is to go ahead and stitch them to the base. So this is the base of the ruffle skirt. So I want to quickly show you how I'm going to be layering them right here. So for the ruffles, after hemming and gathering, it's now left at 4.5 inches length. Okay, we have 4 layers of the ruffle. Okay, so the first one that is the most fuller one is going to be on the waist. So from this waist I will come down 3.5 and stitch on the second layer of the ruffle. From that second layer part, I will come down 4 inches and stitch the third layer of the ruffle. And on that point, third layer ruffle line, I will come down 3.5 inches and stitch the fourth one. Okay, so the first one will be here, second one will be here, and third one will be here, then the fourth one will be here. So I'm just going to go ahead and rule these lines across so they are easy for me when I am sewing them on the sewing machine. Okay, so I've marked all the lines where I'll be stitching on the ruffles, as you can see right here. Okay, now to make it easier, make sure to start from the last ruffle. Okay, so the best thing to do is to, take the ruffle and place it upside down this way. That's the wrong side is facing up like this. Okay, then you go ahead and stitch on the lines that you have marked. Marking the line will make it easier to stitch on. Okay, so after stitching, you just flip it downwards like this, then the rough side will be hidden inside like this. Okay, so you stitch the last one, stitch the third one, stitch the second one, and then go ahead to stitch the first one. So right now I am stitching on the ruffles on the ruffle base. Like I explained, I'll place it upside like this, making sure the wrong side of the ruffle is facing upward, so that by the time I'm done stitching from beginning to the end and then flip it down, the right side will be showing outside. I hope you get that. Okay, so this is how I stitch all of them, and then the first one I'll just go ahead and drop it on top like that, like the right side will be facing up. Okay, so go ahead and stitch all, and then after stitching you fold the skirt into two and stitch close the center back. When stitching, make sure you're aligning the ruffled lengths to match. Okay, so that at the end of the day none of them will be unequal. I hope you understand. Okay, so this is it, we are done. Now it's time to go ahead and attach the band. Okay, see, this is the band for the skirt, and it's at 3 inches width. So when I fold it, it will be 1.5. The band height I want is 1 inch. Okay, so on fold it will be 1.5, but when you open it, it's 3 inches. And then the length is 36 inches, this exact length of the waistline of the skirt. Okay, so here I have elastic that I'll be using for the waist, and this is 1 inch elastic, 1 inch elastic, and the length I cut it at 18 inches, 18 inches by 1 inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the elastic together and stitch on it like 2 to 3 times. Then I'll fold the skirt band, the fabric into two, and stitch it close as well. So after stitching it together, I'm going to go ahead and fold into two, fold this into two. Okay, then place the band inside. I'll be stitching it at ½ inch. Remember, the elastic band is 1 inch. So you simply go ahead and arrange the elastic inside the fabric. Keep arranging the elastic inside the fabric and stitch along. While stitching, be dragging the elastic so it is able to cover the whole fabric. Okay, so make sure the elastic is not folded inside. Make sure it lays flat just the way it is, so the band is not twisted at the end of the day. So just keep sewing and dragging the elastic until you are done. And again, make sure you're not stitching on the elastic, just stitch on the ½ inch excess sewing allowance that was added. After covering the elastic with the fabric, we are now going to stitch on the bands to the skirt. Okay, so just look for the joined part on the band and match it to the joined part on the skirt, which is going to stay at the back, by the way. Then we go ahead and fix the band onto the skirt. Also, while attaching the band to the skirt, you also have to be dragging it so it's able to go round the waistline of the skirt. So just keep stitching and dragging the band along until you are done. So after fixing the bands to the skirt, then the skirt is done. All you need to do is go ahead and add some finishing touches. Do well to subscribe for more kiddies tutorial every week. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.